Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play Cast, episode 121, brought to you by MMORPGs.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, as always, Magicman, a.k.a. Mike Byrne, and joining me, the ever-dapper, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. It's kind of chilly, though, here. I'm in Texas, and that's supposed to get cold.
Oh, man. See, I'm in Pennsylvania, and it's been cold for a while now.
You know, it gets down to, like, the 50s here, and it's just terrible.
Poor baby. Poor baby. All right, before we slide over to the news, a couple things we want to talk about real quick here, since we are bumping up against the holidays in the coming weeks here. So today we just posted our 2014 fan choice picks, so make sure you go over to the site to vote. All the winners will be announced on next week's show. So the voting closes on Monday. It's Monday, right? 22nd?
Yeah, Monday evening. I think 9 Pacific.
9 Pacific. Voting will close. Vote for your favorites, and we will, of course, communicate those winners on next week's show, which, incidentally, will be our last show of 2014. We will see you January 6th will be our next recording, and that will post on the 8th, so everybody gets a little bit of a show break for Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever holidays you feel like celebrating, and then New Year's. So next week, last show of the year, and then we'll head into what should be a pretty big gaming year, at least the first half of it, 2015. With that said, let's slide over and get started with the news. First up, Jason, this one's kind of your topic. I didn't even know you were a survival horror zombie type guy, but you've been really following some H1Z1. Before we get into the announcements which we got this week, talk to us a little bit about why you've been following this very closely.
Well, based on my great long experience watching people play DayZ, which I never actually played myself.
What?
I know, but I've spent about a year and a half of watching people stream it, so you know I'm really experienced. But whatever. No. But no, I mean, it is entertaining to watch. I've been kind of turned off by the whole early access aspect of DayZ, and we'll get into that in a little while about what I feel about that. But I love the concept, I love the idea, and I'm really looking forward to H1Z1, seeing what kind of a take SOE can have on it.
See, now I, on the other hand, love some DayZ. Loved it when it was, the mod. I've been in the standalone for a long time now. There's, of course, things that I wish it didn't do. To me, DayZ is a little inaccessible if you're not used to the mod that it was, the Arma mod that it was based off of. Especially when it was a mod instead of standalone, it was even more inaccessible if you didn't know what was going on, inventory management, stuff like that. I love some DayZ, and so I'm kind of on the fence of, I'm watching what H1Z1 is doing, but I'm not like gung-ho, because to me a lot of what I see is, oh, okay, well this is, DayZ has been doing this already, and so what's the need for yet another version of almost the same game? So I'm kind of keep my eyeballs on H1Z1 just to see what's changing, what are they doing differently. But man, you're kind of pumped about this one.
Well, because like I said, the thing that really bugs me the most about DayZ is, when it first started, like mid-2012 is when the mod came out, so people started paying attention. And so, like 2.5 years later, it seems like they just have some of the same bugs still in the game. It just still is...
that's true.
It's just still too messy for me, as far as I can tell. And I know H1Z1 is going to be early access, so it's going to have its issues, certainly, and Smed even goes on about that. It says, don't play it if you expect a finished game and all that. But from what I've seen, both from the bits that I've seen streamed of it, that SOE or some other guys have done, and what I've played myself, it does seem like a much more polished experience. It does seem like it's a lot more stable than what I've at least observed when people playing DayZ. Not only from the bugs and that sort of thing, but just the engine, the aspect of it. Like when you hit something with a car, it doesn't just kind of get shoved along the road like it does in DayZ. It actually bumps the guy and he gets knocked away or whatever.
I guess there's something to be said for a whole team working on a game rather than
instead of
Rocket working on it by himself.
Who's not even working on it anymore.
He's not even there anymore.
So, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys, since there's not a ton of H1Z1 footage here, I'm going to roll some of their E3 video of this from this previous year when they did their little live stream type reveal. So that way you guys have some gameplay to look at. It was announced earlier this week, big announcement, early access, January 15th. So a couple of weeks, a month away from our recording right now. $19.99 to get early access. Now, they did mention that there was going to be another bundle that had some expanded features. Have we gotten details of the pricing and what's in that one yet?
Nope.
Huh.
Not a thing. I know you're expecting the big revelation, but no, they have not told us anything.
I mean, because I was looking around for it.
They haven't really told us what's in the $19.99 bundle yet, other than it's going to be, really basic, get into it and stuff. But
yeah, I figured, I can't find this anywhere, so maybe I'm just not searching the right H1Z1 resources. But Jason will have the scoop. So no, there is no scoop on that one yet. Now, this is a far cry from, what was it, the April-May time window we expected early access to be.
When they said that happened in 4 to 6 weeks.
Right. When they announced, like, in March, hey, 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to be having early access for this. Now it's almost a year later, come January 15th, a few months shy of a year. But you actually think this is a good thing for their early access.
Yeah, and I think, like I said in an article a while back, I think they did this because they kind of saw how early access for Landmark went and how it really fell off after that, and how Landmark was, especially early on, really an unstable kind of mess. I mean, I jumped in pretty much as soon as it became available, and it was not real pretty. And obviously, it didn't have as many moving parts as DayZ. It just had pretty much just the building and stuff, or not DayZ, H1Z1. Yeah, I'm gonna do that all the time.
Too many zombies.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the fact that and they said too, Smedley said in their little they had like a live stream afterwards, said we wanted to take the time to make sure it was as polished, like as polished an experience as we could make it. So to me, it's almost more it seems almost less like early access as it does like a kind of early beta. Like it seems like it's reasonably well done to that level. Still gonna have its issues, but not often you're gonna have just a straight up breaking stuff all over the place, I think.
And Smed even went as far to say is if you expect a complete game even at this point, months after, we originally were looking at early access, if you expect a complete game, all in capitals, don't buy this. Mm-hmm. Don't buy the $19.99 pack. And I mean, at least you got to give it to Sony Online. They're not being coy about the similarities between H1Z1 and DayZ.
Although that is exactly what Rocket said about DayZ when the early access for that came out.
That's true.
But even so, you have now a year later, some people are just like that. They're like, God, when is DayZ going to be done? When are they going to finish this? Blah, blah, blah. So, and again, I think to some extent they looked at that too. I think SOE saw how that went with that game as well and decided to push it back as far as they could.
Yeah, and Smedley's not trying to hide anything, at least with this. No. I mean, in his direct posts, when he says, "Hey, don't buy this," not only is he telling you, "Hey, if you think this is a complete game, no, don't buy it. Don't buy it." But he also takes it a step further to just draw the comparisons that everybody else is drawing, and say there's things in DayZ that as a finished or almost finished product we don't have yet. We're getting there. There's features that we do plan to add that maybe you've seen in DayZ and other games. So at least they're acknowledging, hey, this may be not an original idea, but this may be an idea that we're going to take and do a lot better with because we have a full team at our disposal. I got to appreciate the honesty, and if there's one thing that maybe Smed does a little too much for the PR people at Sony, it's tweet things out that are maybe a little brutally honest. I've got to imagine that the PR team at Sony Sony Online would really just like it if his Twitter account went away.
You got to hand it to them too for not trying to squeeze the profit into like their Q4 earnings or something like that, pushing it forward to January. I'm a little surprised by that, honestly.
Yeah. You know what? I may not be terribly excited about H1Z1 because at this moment it just seems like I've seen this before. Yes, maybe you're doing it a little bit better. Am I going to check it out? Yes. I don't know if I'm going to do the early access, simply because I'm not into the game enough that I really just want to play it. And there's always that drawback. You and I are big fans of the Extra Credits team on YouTube. And there's an episode on early access maybe being more damaging than it is helpful for things. And I do buy into that a little bit. And since I'm not so gung-ho about H1Z1, I might hold off on the early access. Of course, I say that now. I'll probably end up getting it January 15th just so I can cover things for the website. But as a consumer, I would probably wait on this one. Would you buy it day one? Are you that pumped about it?
Again, as someone who's never really gotten into DayZ, yeah, I definitely would. And again, I wonder just like in the long term, like what is going to be the interaction between like H1Z1 and DayZ? Because let's suppose they release something that is nicely polished, a nice experience, even has maybe a little more stuff than DayZ does right now. Are there going to be people like you who are like, well, I play DayZ and I like that. I don't want to try the new thing or whatever. Is that how it's going to go? Even if, and I'll just say, whatever, even if H1Z1 is like technically superior or whatever, there's still going to be people who stick with DayZ, kind of like how, you could have new MMOs that do things better than World of Warcraft, but man, I've been playing World of Warcraft forever. I'm going to stick with it, so I wonder how that's going to go.
They've just got that investment into
Exactly.
the entire thing. See,
Well, at least nobody's got their level 90 Death Knight in DayZ, so it might be a little easier to switch on that level.
See, now I don't fall into that camp on this one. I'm not so attached to DayZ because, like I said, there are things that I think. Oh yeah, there are things that I think DayZ just doesn't do well, and I do think Sony Online is going to make something a little more accessible to people that maybe didn't want to go through having to mod Arma to originally play it, and maybe aren't exactly thrilled with the bugginess that's still inside the standalone version. So I'm willing to switch on this one. I'm willing to switch. I'm just not super pumped about it yet. We'll see. We'll see. So I'm not going to buy it. You're going to buy it. Interesting.
Buy it.
Usually doesn't work that way. Usually doesn't work that way.
Who says I'm going to buy it? I'm going to acquire it.
Yes. Well, whoops, that's not the right sound effect. I just played the news. We're still on the news. For that, since that sound effect went off. Let's move over and talk about Age of Conan, a game that normally we don't talk a whole lot about the Age of Conan.
If we're doing barbarian, I think do I have to take off my shirt?
Just rip it off. My cat is, I think, behind me, messing with my drop behind me.
I've got a giant inflatable sword somewhere. I should have bought it. It might even be an Age of Conan branded thing. I don't remember. No, it's Dragon Age.
Nice.
Anyway.
So Age of Conan, I actually have it. Hold on, I'm gonna get up for a second.
Do you have like a collector's edition?
I bought Age of Conan on day one. Yep, right here. There it is. Yeah, look at that.
I can't see the screen. Is it like collector's edition or just regular?
It was just the regular edition. I wasn't a huge Conan guy. In general, but I was looking for something new at the time, MMO-wise. So I got this guy, and if you remember when this thing launched, didn't do so well.
No, in fact, the best thing was when they asked like the Funcom president or whatever a few months later, when was the game done? He said, "Oh, about now."
Yeah, didn't do so hot. In fact, a lot of computers couldn't even run the damn thing. Even if they were meeting the recommended requirements, not the minimums, a lot of computers meeting the recommended requirements couldn't even run the damn thing. So yeah, went rocky there, went free to play. I actually really enjoyed and I'm sure we've talked about this before at some point on some show somewhere. I really enjoyed the opening level experience in the game. The starting island and everything like that. It was actually once I got past that point that the game kind of started to fall apart for me.
I'll just say I jumped in for a little while after it went free to play and played through to like level 12, and I thought it was really good too. And
yeah,
it reminded me of another Funcom game, The Secret World, and how they did their cutscenes and story. Kind of the same way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people had that experience where it was like, you know what? Most people like Terra, God, Newbie Island. Oh, shoot me in the face. Terra's expansion launched today, by the way, Fate of Arun. You gonna check that out? Sidebar? Oh, okay, then I will.
Go ahead.
I'm definitely checking it out. Definitely checking it out. I logged in just to get my Fate mount a week or so ago. So Conan was kind of the flip side of that for me, where the starting island was incredible. You know, great story and everything that just fell apart. So it goes free to play, goes unchained, as they say, Age of Conan, unchained. And now, Funcom making a couple of tweaks to their membership model. Limited time, so you've got to get on these things now. And they're adding a new item to the shop.
What does this item do?
Well, let me tell you, Mr. Winter, what this item does. For the mere price of 40 USD, you could instantly jump to max level.
Bam, just like that.
Just like that. Boom, you're instantly 80. You've instantly got some rare gear. 80 right now. See, now you've made me second guess myself, but I'm going to double check. I'm pretty sure.
80 in the article, but I thought I saw it 90 somewhere.
I'm pretty sure Age of Conan's level cap right now is 80.
Okay. Yeah, it says 80. All right.
So you jump to max level. There you go. 80 or 90. It's 80. And you get a set of rare gear. You get all these things, and you're ready to go for end game. So you're going to skip what arguably to me was the best part of the game. And we've seen this in a lot of games, and we've mentioned it on the site, but we haven't really talked about it on the show here. We saw World of Warcraft do the boost to 90. Now we have Age of Conan doing the boost to 80. Terra at one point did a go in and put a silly name that they gave you on your character, and we'll jump that one to 58 for you. Perfect World added their instant max level items as well. Just recently, and we've seen this more and more and more, and it's becoming a little more popular and a little more popular because people keep buying them. Are you a fan of these jump to max level? You constantly make the Star Wars too with the 12 times XP
right.
boost.
LOTRO did it too. They had just only the 50 though. I think back when the level cap was 90 or 85 or something.
You're a fan of saying, hey, remember all that stuff that we wanted you to do and we created for you? Well, yeah, now skip all that boring shit. With the jump to max level item. So I gather that you're not a fan of these.
No, it's I understand that it's what these older games have to do to try and lure people in. And it's a fact of them being older games built during an age where that sort of thing is what you did. You leveled your character from 1 to max. So you did it over and over. And that's what was accepted as what people did. And you can even take newer games like Terra or SWTOR. The thing is, they started development back in 07, 08 or whatever. Back when that was still a thing. And it's only been the last 3 or 4 years that I think people are finally starting to realize that we don't like to do that so much. When it is, as you say, the boring crap that they made a ton of, but it's boring as hell. So it makes sense that you would try to get people past that into the real game, as opposed to what a lot of games are doing now, which is making the real game more part of the overall game, as opposed to just giving you a reason to rush to max, whether it's by giving you more to do as you level, like Guild Wars 2, or something like PlanetSide 2, which is just kind of equivalent the whole time. There's no like leveling or anything like that. That's what modern games are doing more of. But the older games have to try to play a little bit of catch up in that factor. So that's why they're doing this. So I'm not against it. I understand it's kind of what you have to do if you want to take that route. If you want to get people playing with each other on a more regular basis. Because the issue is always if you've been playing the game forever, Mike, and you've got a level 80 character in Age of Conan, and I want to jump in, I can't play with you.
Right.
I can't play with you on my level 10 character that I make up and play for a few hours. They want to make it easy to do that sort of thing.
Right. And as much as I say, oh, don't worry, I'll power level you through some stuff,
no.
I'm not. I'm not.
That's why you have the more modern games like Guild Wars 2 or PlanetSide 2 making it so that you can jump in immediately and play with your friends. This is how these older games accomplish that with their leveling mechanics.
I like these. Granted, there's a part of me that goes, well, you guys should have had to do it the same way I did it back in the day. I've still got that whole thing going on.
They do have, at least in Conan, they do have the thing you mentioned where it's cheaper if you already have a level 80. So if you've already done
yes, that's a huge thing here that I do like. So it's $40 to jump to max level in Conan, or it's $30 USD for you if you already have an 80 in the game. I really dig that.
Yeah.
The people that have played through it all the way, and maybe I've always wanted to level an alt, but God, I just remember 20 through 60 being a bear, and I don't feel like doing it anymore. I think that's really cool. Give me a couple of bucks off to acknowledge, hey, you already have one. Let's see if you want another one. Great, just give us $30.
That's an interesting thought you said though, right there. Saying 20 to 60 was a bear. Maybe they should even have a cheaper thing that lets you skip, say, 40 levels. So you could play through that Tortage up through to level 20, enjoy that part of it, and then you just skip a good chunk of the really boring stuff.
Now that would be cool. I kind of like that. Where
And then you could actually maybe learn how to play your class instead of having an instant 80 read just fumbling around. So.
And we talked about this, and this was way back on a very early free-to-play cast. I think it was Sajero and I that were talking about it. Like, would you buy levels if a game let you do so? You know, if it was just, here's a 10-level boost, and you could buy it and use it at any point. Okay, I'm level 15. I don't feel like doing 15 through 25. I'm going to use it now. Or I get to level 70 and I'm 10 away from cap. Screw it. Boom. I'm done. I'm at cap. And at that point, I don't think I would have. That was, again, 3 years ago, though. So it was a little bit of a different market for free-to-play.
The little, like, 10-level chunks kind of bug me a little bit, I guess, more so than just being able to buy, say, 50 or 40 or 50 levels, having it be a one-time thing. That bugs me less for some reason.
Yeah, I think ultimately I'm still a fan of jump to max level. I get that. I get that. I don't know if I would be in favor of being able to buy 5 or 10 or 15 levels here and there. The jump to max level, I get it. The game's got to be very compelling for me to want to do it, because usually they're not cheap, you know. And we've seen them. To be honest, this is the cheapest one I've seen. I don't know if you're familiar with one out there at $30 and $40. The price tags.
That's about the going rate.
Yeah, the price tags I've seen have been anywhere between 40 and 60 usually. And that includes World of Warcraft with its boost to 90 being $60 besides your freebie one if you got the Warlords of Draenor expansion. I'm okay with the boost to max level. I dig it what they're trying to do with this and pull people in. I do like the little extra perk Funcom put here for somebody that's already level 80. That's kind of a nice little touch. And just kind of a nod to the long-time player to me. And I like that. I like that. They're also changing their membership here. And this is kind of unique. But you only have a limited time on this one. So if you're a subscriber for Age of Conan, they call it member. So if you're a member for Age of Conan, you can go on right now, between now and January 2nd, and add additional time. If you purchase 3 blocks of a subscription, whether you're a brand new subscriber or just adding it to your existing subscription, they're going to give you another free month. So you're buying 3, getting 1 month for free, total of 4 months. You'll get 10 tokens of gilding, which can be used for their gilding social vendor. And then they have a 6-month and a 12-month offer as well. The 12-month offer, if you want to shell out for a year of subscription on top of whatever you have now, they're going to give you 4 extra months, 30 tokens of gilding, and your choice of 2 different caches full of epic gear, epic Tier 1 PvP gear or Tier 1 PvE gear, depending on which you prefer. I don't know if this tells me that they're really hurting for subscribers, or if this is just a, hey, let's, kind of throw a coupon out there and see what happens.
If you're willing to buy for a year, they will send a Funcom representative directly to your house to thank you. They will get down on his knees and do this.
And they will give you the Age of Conan cape of blessings.
They will give you Conan. They'll send Arnold Schwarzenegger to your house. They will give you Conan.
So, yeah, lots of changes in Age of Conan. I generally like them. I don't know if it's going to pull me back in. It's been a long time since I've played.
How far did you get? How far past Tortage did you get?
I got to maybe level 30-ish. Like 28 to 32, somewhere in there, before I was just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not having the fun I had for the first 15 levels. And I know an awful lot has changed in the game, but there hasn't been anything, even with the expansion content that they added a while ago, there hasn't been anything that's been like, I need to go and check this out.
I'm going to throw this out here as an additional sort of thing I was thought about writing about, where it's like, when you get that game that has that initial response, it's like no matter what they do, we always have that notion that, oh, after Tortage, it's terrible. Or some other game.
It's hard to shake. It's hard to shake.
Like, I've been playing SWTOR a bit more, and I'm like, yeah, the free-to-play was terrible. Maybe it's not so bad after all. Like, I'm going to try to work that out. But anyway.
There's been nothing added to it that made me go, I need to check that out. And even games like Terra, with their Fate of a Rune expansion, there's a couple aspects of the expansion that I'm like, you know what, I want to go and check that out real quick. Even if I don't end up playing for months and months and months again, I do want to check that out. And there's just been nothing in Age of Conan. Secret World does that to me all the time. Secret World, another Funcom game, not free to play obviously, but is one of those that I'll play for 2 or 3 months non-stop. And then I take a break for a little while, and then a new issue comes out, or they add some type of event, and I'm like, man, I really got to check that out, and I jump back in there. You know, you and I have battled through Egypt before in that game. It seems to be one that we come back to every once in a while. They do things that make me want to check it out, and just Age of Conan hasn't done that for me. Even with this jump to max level item, I don't think I'm going to buy one. I may, just to do an updated gameplay action episode, since the first look we have is rather old. But as a consumer, I probably would not buy this one.
No, me neither.
All right. Moving on, let's talk about awful ideas. So last week we talked about Jason's awful idea of spending limits in free-to-play MMOs, and less than 48 hours later, it was kind of proven this is an awful idea, wasn't it?
Go figure.
So what happened?
Well, just randomly, I'm looking around the web, and I just come across an article about the South Korean gaming market, and apparently the government in February in South Korea, so according to the article, it says, in February it went a step further as the government essentially capped gaming revenue. Today, an individual in Korea can spend no more than US $300 on online games per month. So they basically took my idea and put it into practice. Yeah.
And it didn't pan out well, did it? Not so much.
The rule devastated game developers, what the next sentence says. Companies taking 50% losses, 24% losses, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the worst of it was that apparently it says, many online gamers spent all their money on League of Legends, and when they hit the limits, fled to mobile devices where they could play uninhibited. Which first makes you wonder why this law doesn't apply to mobile games, but whatever. Them laws.
I think even the size of the mobile market has governments leery of it. They're like, oh my god, I am not regulating 7 bajillion apps. There's just no way.
Yeah, well, plus they're just starting to figure out online gaming in general, much less how you can play something on a phone. Where are the tubes connected? Where's a series of tubes that connected to the phone? I don't get it.
So here's the question that I have, and we kind of batted this back and forth about this probably is a bad idea financially overall, and this article seems to bear it out. But what I would question is your initial premise was to design a game with these barriers in place. The games we're talking about and this article talked about were not designed to have these types of barriers in place, and so when they were added after the fact, it crippled the finances that they were receiving ahead of time. Do you think there's a difference there, though? Had League of Legends launched in X region with a cap spend type deal, would it have turned out differently?
I mean, it depends on what all they put in there in general. I mean, again, I talked about this in the article. I'm like, how do you spend $300 a month on League of Legends?
That's a lot of
it's
cash.
Like, that's the thing. I mean, some of these games, yeah, clearly are meant to be, you just buy lock boxes forever. That's how we make our money, you know. League of Legends doesn't seem like that kind of game. Now, someone in the comments mentioned that his buddy did spend, like, I think £1,000 or euros or something on League of Legends, I think, in 1 month. So I was like, okay, people obviously do it. And I get that people are going to want all the boosts, all the skins, half the champions, whatever. But again, that seems like the kind of game where it's as designed as well as it can be to be a game where you don't spend $1,000 a month. So if that doesn't work, and the other question is that I really, really wonder, is it really even possible to do a game like that and have it succeed? Because what we hear all the time is when you have like 85% of people playing free, what you generally hear is that the reason those people can play free is that 0.01% of people who spend $1,000 a month help make it free for that 85%.
The whales.
Yeah, so it's like, if this spending limit were in place, would it then really be possible for that many people to play free? And I don't know.
I think this could work if the game was designed from the onset to do it. And we may end up seeing it with Notch's next experiment. Who knows? That's none of that is official yet. But I think if it's designed from the onset, I think this type of thing is League of Legends is making bajillions of dollars, and then all of a sudden there's a rule in place that stops them from making a bajillion dollars. Yes, that's going to be financially devastating. But if you design a game with the expectation of here's our cap, this is the amount of money that we expect to make, then the cap is no longer a barrier anymore. It's just the ceiling.
But that's the other problem too, is people see League of Legends making $1 bajillion without a spending cap and go,
right.
well, why would
What's
we
the
want
incentive to put a cap on?
Yeah, why would we want to do that? Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was funny that it just was 2 days after that article went up and we talked about it, and you sent me a message on Skype. It's like, hey, check this out. Apparently, it is an awful idea.
It is really awful. Again, though, mentioning that again, like you say, no, this was a governmental control that kind of forced it on them. So
which is different from your proposed control of the developer.
Is a doing it themselves, which even if it was up to like say $500 a month, that's still only $6,000 a year. Probably doesn't kill you, as opposed to the people like you say who spend $15,000 on some month and some awful binge.
Yeesh.
I don't know. I like to think that on some level it could still work, but I just don't know that we'll ever see it.
Time for the weekly bombs. Let's do it. All right, I'm gonna go first today. So mine is an A-bomb. It's kind of a double A-bomb for the same place. I know. It's the Christmas spirit. I'm giving. I've actually got an A-bomb for Crytek, and we kind of missed this one, so shout out to Ajax Sachs for the heads up on it. So Crytek is closing Warface on the Xbox 360, which sucks. It happens, That's not what I'm giving the A-bomb for. The A-bomb for is usually when this type of thing happens, where a game is being shut down on one platform but is going to still be active on another platform, in this case, shut down on the Xbox 360 but still active on the PC, companies usually offer some type of migration plan and little perk to get you over to that other system. And I understand that the interfaces on this one are totally different. The 360 is not interfacing with the PC servers. I get it. But you could have put something out there. Even if you couldn't get my character from the 360 to the server, give me some incentive to go and migrate to the PC option. As of right now, there isn't one. Maybe Crytek will change that and put something in place, but they haven't to this day. Also, A-bomb to Crytek for Crysis 4 not being a thing yet.
Just A-bombing all over Crytek.
Yeah.
Those bastards.
I hope you got better news.
Heck no. I've got an A-bomb to the Lord of the Rings Online for losing their composer, Chance Thomas, a name I hadn't even heard of and who I actually thought first was Clarence Thomas, but that was someone completely different.
Just a
I wouldn't want
little
Clarence
bit.
Thomas providing the music for my video games.
No, it probably wouldn't be that great.
But they're going to stop using Chance. He produced music for, I think, the last 2 expansions, 2 or 3. And according to his post on Facebook, he says, resources are tight and they have a large dev team to support. So today they let me know that they are going to keep the music in-house. So first, the A-bomb to resources are tight, meaning we can't afford to pay you anymore.
That's exactly what that means.
That's what that means. And it's also, I like the first of all, I'm not that guy who mutes the in-game music and listens to, whatever he wants on his iTunes, whatever. I always listen to in-game music all the time. And I really liked when Lotro first came out, and through the first expansion, through Moria, I thought the music was good. Then for like the next 2 or 3 years, next couple of expansions, I thought it really went downhill. And then got a lot better when Chance Thomas came on. So I'm really, really sad to see that he's going to be going and not contributing to the game as well. So I've got kind of an A-bomb just for that aspect of it as well. Going to miss him.
I'm a huge fan of gaming soundtracks. Huge fan. I mean, I'm not going to get up again because they're not as close as the Age of Conan box was. I just happen to be close to the A section on my shelf here. But I've got multiple soundtracks, and there's a new one coming out tomorrow for Final Fantasy XIV. I've got the Guild Wars 2 orchestrated 4 discs. I mean, I love gaming soundtracks, and You know who has what I think is going to be a really cool soundtrack, although it's unfortunate that Area Games is behind the project, is Echo of Soul. Every video that I've seen and even dug into some play videos from overseas, the soundtrack sounds really cool. I don't know what the game's going to be like when it gets here in the West, but soundtrack, all about it.
I got to meet Jeremy Soule at SOE Live.
Oh, that's Guild Wars 2.
Like, he does everything. Guild Wars 2, Skyrim,
Yeah.
EverQuest.
I got his John Hancock on the discs. It was awesome. From the viewers, Neo Phantom, I want to give an A-bomb to Nexon for their Nexon launcher beta. Oh god, I hate these launchers. Most of their games are already available on Steam platform, or you could have them as standalone, but Nexon saw the need to add a platform to regroup their games on your computer. To me, it's just more steps to play the games I like. Also, with Steam, Area Ignite, NCSoft Launcher, and now Nexon's, it's just another chunk of my computer's resources being taken away for useless background news and games advertising. P.S. Good to have you back, Magic Man. Well, thank you. It's very, very good to be back. There is nothing I can say to that besides I 100% agree. I am sick of all these damn launchers.
Yeah, the worst thing is that I give an A-bomb to, remember now, they were offering Torchlight on Arc, on Perfect Worlds thing for Torchlight 2, they were offering it for $5.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that's a great deal. All right, it's an Arc, but whatever, I'll buy it. 2 days later, the Steam sale starts up, and it's got the same deal. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah, Ark's another one. I can't stand all these damn launchers, especially if you're going to end up putting your game on Steam anyway. All right, you're up, sir. Who's next?
All right, this is from Legwin 1980. A-bombs all the way down, just about.
'Tis the season.
A-bomb for World of Tanks and myself. Keep watching videos in the game, usually jingles ones, and see something that motivates me to load it up again. But damned if it only takes half an hour to remind me of why I don't play. Toxic community from people spamming just about anything to team damage and AFKing. As a team-based PvP game, there was virtually no teamwork. I've played World of Tanks. I don't really notice a toxic community in there. It's like, first of all, I mostly just ignore the chat, so that helps. But
well, that's probably a big reason why you don't notice anything going on.
And I'm a bad enough player that I that's probably the best. Anyway, Legwin also says, giving a dub bomb to Path of Exile in its upcoming patch. Fun in the forums watching the panic after they released an unfinished skills tree and people see what was getting nerfed. Basically the stuff people have been spamming in the forums to get nerfed, like crit and block. The new leagues are looking good and more gems and uniques getting added, not to mention the start of their first PvP season. So all right, there's a bomb into this.
All right. I love Path of Exile. UDK Facey, my bomb would be for World of Tanks. So we take the good with the bad, I guess, on this one. Making great content and releasing in all regions at the same time, and making a buttload doing it. Can't argue with that. Last week we gave you the question of the week, except we turned it around.
I haven't looked at this at all. So
oh, nice. That'll be great. We give you a question every week, so now it's time for you to give us a question. Send the hosts a question you want answered. Nothing was off limits. So here's what we got. And thank you for your dub bombs, A bombs, and your questions. Keep it coming. Huge part of the show. Whether you're commenting on YouTube or on mmobomb.com, that's where I'm grabbing them for the entire second half of the show. It's all about you guys. So Veilthick says, wasn't you guys that mentioned BS not making any money for NCSoft, talking about Blade and Soul? 2 years for Black Gold, me, not trolling, honest question. Why do we as gamers expect our MMOs to be a be-all, end-all of games? Why can't they be great PvP, PvE, or WVW? Personally, I want a WVW sandbox-style Guild Wars 2/Warhammer hybrid. PvE rating matters little to me. I feel like companies have killed the genre in the last few years with watered-down games. Focus. We didn't say Blade and Soul was not making money. To go back to that real quick, we said that Blade and Soul was steady. It wasn't gaining or losing quarter over quarter financially. It's making money. It wasn't growing or shrinking, so we didn't know what that meant for a Western release anytime soon. I kind of agree with this one, though. Overall, we always kind of do that. This has got to be the WoW killer. This has got to be this killer. This has got to be this killer. And I've always kind of just thought, I played this game for this aspect of it. I played this game I played Final Fantasy XIV for the story aspect of it and some of the end game rating content. I play Ion for some of the music and some of the late game questing there. I played this game for PvP. I played this game for this. And so I'm kind of in the same ballpark as Veilthick here. I don't think the next game has to be all end all. I'm looking forward to Echo of Soul for the music mostly. Who knows what the game will be like when it gets here, but I'm looking forward to it for certain aspects of it.
I think the reason people look for that sort of thing in MMO is because it's what they had at the beginning. Whether their first MMO experience was EverQuest or World of Warcraft or something a little later than that. They were kind of drawn in by this whole world of do everything, anything, whatever, wherever, and you still want to recreate that. And the thing is, it's hard to do just because that whole thing was just new to you at the time, new and exciting and different, and you're more jaded now. You've played all this stuff, and you're never going to probably get that same kind of experience that you did when it was first there and new and fresh.
There's also the whole internet argument of I'm playing the best game, and all of you are playing the worst game. What's the next question?
All right, this comes from Mega17. It's a question for the host. The pros and cons of free-to-play versus pay-to-play are talked about a lot on the podcast. How do you feel about the buy-to-play MMO model that games like Guild Wars 2 used in comparison to free-to-play? I like it that devs offer better. I like that it offers devs better management of the community, and I think works well to front-load some profit to keep impressing the publisher if there is one. The extra cash per bot account that's inevitably banned is also a great notion. That's a cynical way of looking at it. I think I would like to see more games try it. I think it has two disadvantages against both the other two. In that one, it doesn't offer that continuous subscription, which kind of scares some investors away. They don't know they're going to get that continual money per month, and they also can't say that it's free because putting free on something just explodes it. There are even entire websites devoted to games that are about free games. I don't know if you've ever heard of any of those.
Hey, wait a minute.
But I mean, that's the sort of thing that comes up in like Google hits. Free RPG. You look that up and you get something. Well, you can't advertise that. You can't use that in part of your marketing for those kind of games. So they are good, but they kind of have disadvantages against both those other kinds. So that's why we probably don't see as many of them.
I'm a huge fan of buy-to-play. And I don't have any of those qualms with playing a free game or a subscription game. Or
you don't because you're smart. But no, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I'll play a subscription game just as fast as I'll play a free-to-play game. I really, really, really like the buy-to-play option. Guild Wars 2, I think, just totally nailed it. The Secret World, even that does it really well. And they even have a sub option for the Secret World if you want to do that as well. And I think that conversion from a subscription base to the buy-to-play version that Secret World did was probably more intelligent in their position than taking it from a subscription to going totally free-to-play. Because it is, as we talked about earlier in this show, it is the type of game that you play for a stretch and then stop for a long stretch. There's not too many people I know that play Secret World that are in it every single day, playing every single day. So it totally made sense. I love buy-to-play when it's done right. However, I do think that there is a huge portion of the market that buy-to-play just simply isn't an option. For me, looking at Blade and Soul coming west, if that had buy-to-play, I wouldn't even care. Never mind. I'm not interested at all. There's other games like that when I see them coming here, I'm not interested in them if they were buy-to-play, but because they are free-to-play, I'm definitely going to give them a shot. And so I think it doesn't work for everybody, but Guild Wars 2 nailed it. The Secret World does it nicely, and I hope other games will do it in the future as well. Well said, Mike. Thank you, Mike. V2099. One of the main reasons why I love Dungeons & Dragons Online is the true reincarnation system. Once you hit level cap, you bring your character back to level 1 with an added benefit from your prominent class. Would you like to see this feature in your MMO of choice? Nope. You're up.
Yeah. That doesn't sound good to me. It sounds like you're just redoing all the leveling.
To me, again, though, this is one of those things totally makes sense in the game.
Sure.
Dungeons and Dragons, and that's what you do on the tabletop, right? You start when you reach a certain peak.
You don't quite do that.
When you reach a certain, come on, you've never had those parties where everything's reached a certain peak. You got to reset things a little bit. Come on, I've had those where you've played the same character for so damn long that it's time to make some changes.
You make brand new characters. I don't take my level 30.
Oh, see, that's no fun. But yeah, this totally makes sense in Dungeons and Dragons. If in my MMO of choice, no, I don't want to start over. Next.
That one doesn't appeal to me. All right, Lagwin 1980 again. So for the question, since it keeps coming up on Steam's forum, obviously not so much on the game's own forum, are Path of Exile's microtransactions too expensive, keeping in mind the size of the company, the cash shop offering no advantage outside of extra stash tabs? Personally, I found the price spread is fairly wide, offering options for everyone. They do a daily sale as well, and given the amount of time I spent on it, even as a filthy casual, I can't really fault it on its prices, considering the only game I played more at the moment is World of Warcraft, and I've spent more in that to just to play. It's an interesting point. I mean, you talk about Path of Exile being a game where you don't have to really buy anything. Like they've really done a good job on that. Now, maybe they make that up in the sense that they charge more for stuff, the cosmetic stuff, or like you said, inventory space, whatever. They charge more for that than what you would get in most other games. So, I guess I'd be okay with that if I felt like I didn't have to pay for anything, not in any way, not even like a little XP boost or a level or area that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Pricing doesn't bother me, especially with Path of Exile. I think Path of Exile has such a good cash shop as far as balancing it with the game, that to me, if the argument is only about pricing, charge whatever the hell you want. Either I'm going to buy it or I'm not, and if enough of us don't, you're going to change the pricing at some point anyway.
But do you remember the $70 monocle?
And exactly, though, do you remember the $70 monocle? Hicks64 question: which 2 or 3 free-to-play titles are you guys most excited for in 2015? Nice way to wrap up the questions. You're up, Jason.
Well, definitely H1Z1, as I've shown off. Going through my little article here, trying to remember what else is out there. I mean, nothing that really pops into my head immediately. As I said, I'm picky. I'm picky that way. But yeah, I mean, obviously EverQuest Next, but that's not going to be coming out next year.
You don't think?
I guess it's possible we get a shot at some part of it, but I don't think any sort. I don't even think, given the way they've handled H1Z1, I don't think they're going to do anything with. They're going to rush it through.
I'm going to go with Fortnite.
Right, Fortnite.
I really like that.
Yeah.
I really like Fortnite. Skyforge. Spunkify's title. I'm eager to jump.
He made it.
Yeah, he made the whole thing. I'm eager to jump into that one. I don't know if it's going to have the staying power. There's a lot of stuff that I see that I'm like, okay, well, again, we've done this before. How many times are we going to do this? But yeah. I'm eager to jump in and give it a whirl. And then, of course, EverQuest Next. I would love to say Phantasy Star Online too, because I am a PSO fan, but I have no idea if we're ever going to see that damn thing.
And actually, if we are going to talk about Spunkify's games, I'd have to toss World of Speed in there as something I'm kind of interested about. See how they can do a driving MMO. When he initially did his article on it several months back, it was interesting the way they described how they're going to do teamwork in that. So,
question of the week for next week: what was your favorite gaming gift this year? Whether you celebrate Christmas, 900 other holidays, whether it was a birthday somewhere earlier in the year, I don't care what you got the gift for. What was your favorite gaming gift this year? And hell, somebody didn't even have to give it to you. Could have been just a gift to yourself, because sometimes we need those. Put it in the comments below. We'll read them on next week's show. Remember, next week's show is the last one for 2014. We'll see you in 2015. But next week we will be announcing on that show the winners of the Fans' Choice Awards. Go vote, go vote, go vote. Jason, where can everybody follow you, sir?
Twitter @WinterInformal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter, blogging jasonwinter.wordpress.com.
Very cool. I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me right down there on Twitter @MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Or you can follow me on any of the stuff that Jason and I are writing on a daily basis over at MMOBomb.com. Hope you come and join us next week for the announcement of the awards. Until then, stay safe. We'll see you out on the servers.